Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move. And for today's episode, we are back for that Malaga game. And as you can tell, we're not doing too well in the table. We're sitting in 12th. We do have a game in hand to the other teams who have played. I think it's just ourselves and Malaga. And of course, it is a pretty decent fixture. Malaga were around here fighting for Europa League spots, but it looks like they've dropped off a little bit, just like ourselves really. But a win here would still help us climb up the table and possibly go ahead of them as well into 10th, so at least we'll be a mid-table team. Now, as you guys know, we are in the Spanish Cup final facing Vigo, who are currently in 7th, fighting for the Europa League spot itself. So maybe they won't care too much about the Spanish Cup. Who knows? Maybe they just want to win a trophy either way. But the point is that we don't have too much to play for. The board really want to fire me at this point. It keeps switching between very insecure and precarious. And obviously, I think they're just holding off, even on a contract for that matter, because my contract expires at the end of the season. Until they see what happens in the final. If I win this, that means I've met their target. If I haven't, that means they get to fire me. But yeah, as long as I don't get our team relegated, we are 8 points ahead of the relegation zone. But as long as we avoid that, I think I'll be able to survive this season, and obviously only if we win the Spanish Cup. But yeah, pretty decent fixture to show you. We will have Malaga. Maybe we'll have you back-to-back games of Atletico Bilbao and Vigo for the next episode, but yeah, we'll just show you Malaga for today. So since that last episode against Atletico Madrid, we've played a number of games and we've had a mixed bag of results. We've been very inconsistent this season. I mean, just look at our fixtures and it kind of explains why we are more of a mid-table team than a Europa League team. We're just way too inconsistent. So we destroyed Madrid 4-1, and we also played Real Madrid and we managed to draw against them. That's decent. But against Eibar, it was a disappointing 0-0 draw. Against Gion, we managed to beat them 3-1, and that was good to see. But against Barcelona, a heavy 3-1 loss. We managed to open the scoring with Santi Mina, of all people, scoring. But Barcelona came back firing in the second half as well. Granada was a 1-0 win, but against Alves we managed to lose that scoreline. Sevilla as well was a very tight game, but eventually they did come out on top, scoring in the last 10 minutes twice to actually overcome the result that we were overcoming ourselves, the scoreline rather, with Zaza and Carmona both on the score sheet. Leganes is a 2-1 away win, so that was good to see us pick up another 3 points after losing twice consecutively in the league. And that helped us kind of stay up the table as well. So we do have Malaga, and I've accidentally already loaded the game, so we'll get straight into it, and we can actually show you who we started off with. So this is the team we're going with: Mina, Rodrigo, Nani, Parejo, Munir, Suarez, Gaia, Garay, Mangala, Diambreso and Dominic are our players. They're playing with a 4-3-2-1, so you can expect them to dominate midfield, but if we dominate the flanks, we'll be okay, and expose that they're only playing with two fullbacks, or two wide men really. But obviously they have the danger of a three, this little triangle here can really take down your team. Because obviously if you're playing like me with a flat back four, that means quite often it's these three versus these two. So hopefully this defensive midfielder can deal with Wampi, and that way you can leave Mangala and Garay to deal with the other players. Perejo as well as a deep line playmaker, you can expect him to drop back a little bit. So Mina gets another ahead of Zaza because Mina's kind of coming in form. Zaza was dropping off a little bit, so we're just going to give him a nod here, see what happens. Nani just got back from injury, so we're trying to give him as much game time. He also played well in the last game. Rodrigo playing on the left wing when it should actually be Bakali, because Rodrigo's supposed to be a right inside forward. That's my mistake actually. Hopefully he can still perform there. We'll actually switch over Nani to Rodrigo's position, so that way Nani's two-footed, so it's okay. Munir as well is slowly getting used to that central midfielder slot. Guilherme not necessarily having the best of games. Parejo, Suarez are kind of straightforward, and the same can be said about Garay and Mangala as well as Gaia. Diambroso as well as our player that we actually bought, while his backup Donati is actually just a loanee, so we don't have to care too much about playing him. Dominic as well is playing himself Diego Alves because he is injured for the rest of the season. Unfortunately, he's missing out on the Spanish Cup final, so his knee tendonitis was a heavy injury to deal with, and he is a huge loss. He is our first choice goalkeeper, of course. So let's just quickly switch around Nani and Rodrigo, and I'll make sure to change that around later on. So apparently we're underdogs for today's game, which isn't great to see considering Malaga aren't the biggest of teams. But let's actually have a look at our past meetings. Maybe we'll get a clue of just how we performed against them previously. So let's get back to schedule. And past meetings. Alright, well, a draw, I guess. We were the home team that time, so maybe this time we can put away some of our away blues and actually manage to get a result against Malaga. Packed out stadium, apparently. I think we can just kick off. So we do have the camera still, but we went back on TV instead. I felt like director was a bit too much, you know, it just changed the angles too much, especially because when we're having the replays, it was on director as well, so it makes more sense to just keep the replays on director and the camera on TV as is. Alright, so kicked off and there's nothing yet to show just yet. But yeah, with a 4-3-3 against their 4-3-1-2, it will really be the battle of midfield. Hopefully our wide players, Rodrigo, Nani and Mina can step, well, Mina's a striker, but hopefully Rodrigo and Nani can actually step up, as well as their fullbacks really, because they get beyond them. So if we have enough support over there, we can actually overtake them, and that way, you know, dominate them in that area of the field instead. It looks like we're doing quite well so far though, not a single shot on target. It was a bit disappointing, but 9 shots, 60% possession, we're doing okay against a team who are supposed to be underdogs against. So let's see what happens. We're at half time and we just have to keep telling the boys to keep up their performance. Alright, hopefully that's enough motivation. They don't seem too okay. Team's really strange, the morale really fluctuates as you'd expect, I guess, with a mid-table team, but sometimes they're really in superb morale because they just won a game, and then next time in the next fixture they're already morale's just okay, or even poor for that matter. Maybe they're just unhappy with our league position, but if we get into Europa League none of them would be complaining anyways. I forgot to go into control, so we'll do that now. And Brioso also got injured, but thankfully we have Donati on the bench. Hopefully Danilo's injury isn't that serious, because we do still need him. Let's actually have a look what kind of potential injury it is. Knee injury, that might be a bit serious. Alright, so let's look to make some changes. 60th minute. No one necessarily having the best of games. Mina will take off for Zaza. Guilherme, Bakali. A couple of options to bring off the bench. Should save the substitutions for later. Let's take off Rodrigo. For Bakali. Yeah, let's do that. Hopefully Bakali can step up. Probably should have waited, but the way Rodrigo's played this season so far hasn't been too convincing, so it makes sense to go with Bakali, who's a youngster that we can actually trust. A big start at Valencia really, and maybe he can grab us a goal here. Malaga going into an attacking formation, but no real highlights of note. Looks like this is going to be a little bit boring after all. Go into overload in just a minute. Okay, there's a highlight there. Never mind. Let me not pause that. Please don't score. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. You can see that happening a mile away. Just a bunch of deflections and Malaga do come away with a 1-0 scoreline. But we can do something else here. Quickly switch up to exploit the flanks. And we'll go into overload in just a minute. I would expect Malaga as well to go into a more defensive formation. They've gone into, you know, already an attacking formation, and they've even pushed up further forward. They've dropped back a little bit, but it looks like they're sticking with that formation. Llorente's shot's hugely deflected, and Camacho is the first one to react. Whoever was marking him was a bit sloppy. The goalkeeper you can excuse, does react to the initial save. But let's go into overload and see if we can still come away with a draw at least. But that means we wouldn't have defeated Malaga at all this season. Not even beating mid-table teams apparently, and that kind of sums up our season. Either way, the only game that really matters is the one against Vigo. I think the board haven't even spoken to me yet about my position. Normally when you start to perform poorly, they talk to you and set you points targets. They haven't done that yet because they've recognised that we've reached the Spanish Cup final. It'll be interesting to see, even after this game, whether they'll still refuse to speak to me or not. But yeah, just not too good from the boys. You'd expect more, and Malaga come away with the home win. Apparently we can't fault the boys, but I guess that's fair enough. We're not favourites for today's game. Probably should have told them off instead of telling them not to. Because, you know, at halftime I didn't really tell them off. 38 points though. Still 8 points ahead of relegation, and that's all that matters. There you go. Even Pamplona have had a huge decline. They were up there with the Champions League spots at one point, and it looks like the bigger teams managed to react. Barcelona though, leading the table. Madrid, Sevilla and Atletico Bilbao make up the Champions League spots, but just about ahead of Atletico Madrid. It looks like the Spanish league is heating up in terms of competition, but after that it really does drop off, and it's more about who's trying to avoid relegation and who's, you know, trying to just stay in a mid-table team, I suppose. There's not too many points separating the relegation zone and mid-table teams, but there is a huge gap, of course, between mid-table teams and Barcelona and Madrid, for example. Alright. That is a huge injury, damaged cruciate ligaments, 10 to 11 months. Now apparently you have the option to replace him with a free agent, but that is not pleasing at all. I don't think there's anyone who's just really competent. Wait, what did that say? Was it just free agent or registered previously unregistered player? I've had a new set of youngsters come through as well, you know, the regens or whatever you want to call them, but obviously none of them are going to be ready for first team. It looks like no one else is either. Okay, so we might have to consider a free agent. Can't really get anyone on loan either. We need a wing back. We want some. We're looking for a wing back who can attack, give some space for error. Yet none of them are free agents. They're all injured, anyways. No, not potential. That's not my concern right now. I need someone. Contract has expired. There's no one apparently. What if I take that off? Nope. Not even. Age? Not even as well. Alright, well it looks like we have something to deal with on our hands, but the likelihood is we'll just promote someone from the under-19s and Valencia B, and hopefully we won't have to use them at all, and maybe we can get by with Donati, who's on loan but is very capable, at least in the first division. But anyways, I think that's all for today's episode, so we'll probably be back. It depends on results, we might be back for the Bilbao game, but if it doesn't matter at all, then it makes a lot more sense just to show you the final, where we have a huge game against Vigo where we really need to prove ourselves. In terms of fixtures though, we do have a couple that are coming up that are a bit tough. As Palmas, you can expect it to be a battle. Real San Sebastian, Madrid, Espanyol a bit easier. Villarreal the same, who are struggling with relegation though, so they might try and fight for a result. Bilbao, of course, always a tough team. The one that matters is the one against Vigo. So I think that will be all, and if you did enjoy today's episode, then as always, please do hit the like button and subscribe for more daily Football Manager 2017 content. And as always guys, thank you all very, very much for watching.